The officer has no idea. Just only a few feet away from him was the head of the woman that they were looking for. Now, this woman that they were looking for was named Lisa Guy, and the head of Lisa that the officer stumbled upon has been cooking for over a day. And in the bathroom they find 2 blue bins of human limbs soaking in toxic mixture. The suspect for this downright horrifying crime is a man named Joel Guy Jr., and the human remains that have been marinating in this place belong to his parents, Joel and Lisa Guy, thus being the terrifying story of the man who boiled his parents just after Thanksgiving dinner. It's March 1988 and Joel Guy Jr. is born into a family where he's the only child to his father, Joel Sr., and his mother, Lisa Guy. Now, growing up, his friends, his family would call Joel Michaels, as to distinguish him from his dad, who also had 3 other daughters from his previous marriage, and his stepsisters were much older than Joel. But either way, it was like a happy blended family that would spend their time together on Golden View Lane in West Knox, Tennessee. Now, many of these wild cases like these, the protagonist is usually not the outgoing type, and this is also the case with Joel. He was a shy and quiet kid and did well not to stand out, and he also wasn't the standout student either, so unfortunately he really had nothing going for himself. He would attend the Louisiana School for Math, Science and Arts. After he graduated in 2006, he would spend a semester at Heritage Washington University before dropping out from there and switching to LSU. There he would study plastic surgery, but he wouldn't stay there for too long before he ultimately withdrew in 2015, deciding to have quite the laid-back lifestyle and just play video games in his Baton Rouge apartment. Joel would literally spend like 9 years of his life repeating this same cycle of changing college, switching degrees, until in 2016 his parents would have enough and they would tell their now 28-year-old son that they're cutting him off. You see, Joel Sr. and Lisa Guy, who at this point have been married for about 31 years, are selling their home on Golden View so they can kind of retire closer to the rest of the family. And well, they were no longer going to finance Joel Jr.'s lifestyle because they've seen for the last 9 years he's not really done anything with his life or with the opportunities that they've given him, so why waste the money? But they would give Joel Jr. to the end of December to change up his life and get his finances back into order before they officially cut him off. However, the clock isn't ticking just for Joel Michaels to get his life back together, but also his mother and father have a time limit as well. But for them, it ends in death. November 24th, Thanksgiving Day. It'll be the last dinner in the Guy home before Joel Sr. and Lisa Guy moved 90 miles away to their new Mountain View home. The whole family would come together again to celebrate Christmas, which again was next month. But they would never make it to Christmas because Joel Jr. is putting his evil plan into fruition and into full effect. He drives all the way from Baton Rouge to the family home in West Knox, Tennessee, and his half-sisters are also in the town with their families to celebrate the holiday, and they all enjoy dinner in Golden View for one final time, and everything seems normal and there's no hint of the horrors that are about to go down just in 48 hours. It's Saturday, November 26th, and Joel Michaels is the last guest at the house, as his half-sisters have left the day before. His mother Lisa was out buying groceries, while his dad, Joel Sr., is upstairs in the home gym. Slowly but quietly, Joel Jr. would crawl up the steps and then ambush his father with a knife. And like a madman, he would stab him again and again, all over his body until the 61-year-old knocks over the treadmill, desperately trying to live. But unfortunately, to no prevail, and he would be stabbed up to 40 times, and the ceilings, walls are sprayed in red, while the life of Joel Sr. withers away. However, even after his father is now deceased, the horror still continues. Junior dismembers his body and thrown each limb onto the red-soaked carpet floor. Once finished cutting up his father, he would sit and wait for his mother's return. When Lisa walks through the front door, she's obviously carrying groceries, and she has no idea what's happened on the second floor, nor does she know the fact that she's next. As she, who is still unaware of the situation, she would walk upstairs, and as soon as she got the glimpse of the horrifying situation of her husband's dismembered corpse, Junior would jump out from where he was hiding and would start to attack his mother again, wildly. And as soon as he even landed on top of her, he would crack 9 ribs just from that. And sadly, the 55-year-old woman would be stabbed up to 36 times, until she was also left lifeless. As if this wasn't disturbing enough, Joel Jr. would proceed to use his bare hands to snap his mother's head from her spine and essentially decapitate it. He then proceeds to place it in a water-filled pot, which then he would turn on the stove. And just like his father's corpse, Lisa's corpse would also get dismembered before Joel takes his parents and places them in two 45-gallon bins, which then they were filled up with chemicals that were capable of practically dissolving anything. And Joel Michaels would pierce the skin to make the process go by faster. Now, when the following Monday arrives, and Lisa, who is known to be extremely responsible and also very punctual, doesn't show up for work, her colleagues would get worried and would give her a ring. And of course, she wouldn't pick up. So they would call the police to get a welfare check done. Eventually, when the officers arrive at the Golden View Lane house, they would see two Guy family cars, which were parked outside of the driveway. They wouldn't do the traditional knock on the door first. In fact, they would go to the window on the left side of the house and take a peek inside. And once they got a good view inside of the house, they would see that there was groceries scattered everywhere across the hallway. And on the other side of the house, the back door handle was missing, like the actual handle. And after only being near the house or next to the house for a couple of minutes, they could smell this very strong chemical smell and also something decaying. One of the officers then retrieves the garage door openers from one of the cars, and as they make their way inside of the home, what they see is truly horrifying. The floors and walls were all splattered in red, and lying in the middle of the floor was a hand, not attached to anyone. But before they can go any further with this horrific situation, they were hit with this intense smell of fume and heat swirling around them. So again, without really not knowing the situation, and clearly it definitely wasn't a good situation either, they would call and request for some backup. They would also ask, along with a backup, for some hazmat suits to protect them from this poisonous air, as already a few officers had gotten sick. Once they got all their gear ready, they would go back inside, and the red trail leads their investigators to what we can all see was a haunting scene. There are two giant rubber vats, or buckets, filled with in some sort of acid. One of the torsos still has a head, and when they lift it up, all that's left is some bones. The other head was found boiling in a pot on the kitchen stove. It belonged to Lisa Garr. Throughout the home, there were an array of chemicals such as bleach hydrogen, peroxide, sewer cleaners, and they were all mixed with a stench of death. Several weapons were also discovered: knives, sledgehammers, some scissors, and a saw, and each were covered in dark magenta. The thermostat in the house was also set to 90 degrees, adding to the already unbearable atmosphere. Investigators would also find a notebook, and it's an explicit step-by-step guide with reminders such as turn the head as high as it goes, dash speeds up composition, flush trunks down the toilet, not the garbage disposal, how to base their bodies to accelerate tissue breakdown, and bring blender and food grinder, dash grind meat. This booklet, surprise surprise, is in Joel Jr.'s writing, and each chapter is more and more disturbing than the next. And as you realize how truly well thought out this plan was, the manual the prosecutors later called the Book of Premeditation also listed a motive. And what was that motive? Joel Jr. wanted to cash out his mother's life insurance policy, which by the way was about $500,000. And there's a section of the diary that's called assists. He writes, money, mine, I get the whole thing. So if you can't figure out what he means by that, it basically means that if he kills his father along with his mother, he doesn't have to share money with his dad. There would be a mistake that Joel Jr. would make by not reading the fine details of the print to his mother's policy, but you're going to need to wait till the end to learn it. And don't worry, you're going to want to hear it. This horrifying journal also reveals that he was planning to frame his father for the murder. He would write that he would remove his father's hand and use it to cover up his fingerprints. Then he'll plant some skin underneath his mother's fingernail so none of them ties back to him. But despite these scary calculated plans, Joel Jr. is arrested and charged with 2 counts of premeditated murder and 3 counts of felony murder, along with 2 counts of disturbing a corpse. He pleads not guilty and the trial begins in September 2020. State prosecutors warned that because of the graphic details of this case, it will be unlike any other trial in US history. And as each horrifying video and picture is shown of the crime scene, members of the family of Guys are forced to step out of the courtroom as they generally couldn't handle what was being shown to them on video. And to be more exact, it was a 30-minute video of showing the entire crime scene. And do you know what the worst part about this whole thing was? During the courtroom and during when they were showing the crime scene videos and pictures. Joel Jr. was seen smiling and not caring whatsoever, and he just showed zero remorse. And actually, it appeared he was proud of his work, and him leaving an entire book and manuscript detailing exactly what he was thinking and what he was planning, and needed to get rid of the bodies. This would be something that really screws over his case, because he would be found guilty on all charges and would receive 5 life sentences with the possibility of parole in 51 years. So hopefully he isn't coming out anytime soon. But back to the fine print that he missed out. We all know how life insurance policy works, right? When someone dies, the money gets cashed out, and the beneficiaries of the policy get the money, right? So theoretically, in the brain of Joel Jr., he read the life insurance fine prints and knows that if his mother dies and his father dies, he gets to keep all the money, right? But what he failed to read on the fine print was he wasn't a beneficiary, and even if he managed to get away with the murder, he wouldn't be paid a single nickel from the insurance company. So he basically killed his mother and father for nothing, and well, in fact, got himself some prison time once again for nothing. That's why, kids, you need to read your damn policies.